Hey, John.
It's nice to have you. We changed it.
Our regional's going to be here. You can go home. I need your attention, everyone. No, regionals. No, regionals is here. February 8th. It was here last year, right?
We
are
at
Wisconsin.
war.
We're at
With
war. It's a
ourselves.
social war. What's it?
We are at war. There is going on. There is going on in our midst. A great battle called the culture war.
That's what it was. Funny that.
Culture war.
Come on, everybody. Pay attention, guys. Never mind. We didn't pray. We didn't sing.
We prayed.
Blackie.
Jimmy, quit complaining.
Be quiet.
Can you stop talking for 5 seconds?
That's right.
How? I chose to start off this class talking about this topic because how many of you watched the Grammy Awards or the Emmy Awards? What was it, Sunday night? Okay.
Only watched
Well,
18 awards.
We, on the Emmy Awards,
I think it was a Grammy.
or was the Grammys, it was the Grammy Awards, okay, the singers, okay? Singers, they, quiet. At the Emmy Awards, those who put together that program chose to push in the face of the American public the gay agenda, okay? Because they arranged to have a pop singer named Queen Latifah.
Latifah's so amazing. I'm sorry, I had to interrupt.
Well, she claimed to have done a marriage ceremony with about 35 couples, most of whom were of the same sex. And during that time, when these couples were featured, there was another couple. They were singing a song, and one of the refrains of the song was, I cannot change, I cannot change. And the reason for that refrain of the song was that they know, the people that are pushing the gay agenda, that there has been success in having people change their attraction from the same-sex attraction to an opposite-sex attraction. And so they have to put out the line that, oh, someone can change. Well, yes, they can change. And you know, there are doctors and psychologists who work with people to have them change their attraction from the disordered one, the same-sex attraction, to the opposite-sex attraction. Okay? I've met doctors. I've shown films in the class in the past to last term with doctors who talk about this, and even these films have had interviews with people who have changed their attraction. Okay, so to say you can't change, no, that's not true. But that's the line they want to put out there. And during the song, which I watched on YouTube, Mrs. Pitpain sent it to me because I didn't see the program. Another refrain in the song was about hate and how everyone who opposes this agenda is filled with hate. Well, you know, that's a mischaracterization of the truth, because we hate the sin. Okay, Myron? We hate the sin, but we love the sinner. That's what we do as Christians, okay? And we oppose this agenda out of love, because we want the best for people. We want them to attain heaven. And homosexual sodomy is a sin. That's the bottom line here, okay? Because the so-called gay marriage movement and agenda when states approve marriage between two people of the same sex, they're legally approving homosexual sodomy and telling everyone that this is fine, this is not a sin, this is normal behavior. Well, it's not, okay? And it's against our nature. It's contrary to nature. And so we're really in the midst of this culture war, and we have to stand up for it. Now, the culture war, that's one front, okay? Another front is what you were discussing last week in regard to the war on the unborn. That's what I like to call it, because since 1973, the Supreme Court decision, Roe versus Wade, the number of unborn children killed by abortion in this country, number is about 55 million. It's about 1 out of every 3 conceptions they end up in an abortion, okay? Which is horrible. It is really it is a holocaust of unimaginable proportions. And if you look around worldwide, the number is over 1 billion, okay, of those that have been killed by abortion over the past 30, 40 years. And we have to stand up for the truth. I have an image here that I use. What I'm going to show you has saved human lives. Okay? I've, for many years, stood out in front of abortion clinics and tried to counsel women who were going in, their boyfriends with them usually, and to persuade them not to do what they were going to do. And the picture I'm going to show you, I showed this to a couple that were walking in an abortion clinic in Maryland when I was in the seminary out there about 25 years ago. And see, the abortion clinic people tell you that, well, this is just a blob of tissue, it's not a human being, and that's the lie they put forward. Well, I showed the couple this picture, and here it is. This is an ectopic pregnancy. Sometimes a pregnancy happens within the fallopian tube, and the woman will, as a result of this, the woman would die if the tube isn't excised as a result of that, because the child can't grow within a fallopian tube, the woman would die. So this was extracted when the fallopian tube was taken out. This doctor held up this little baby in the amniotic sac. And if you show this to people, I've shown this to 5-year-olds, to 55-year-olds, and even the little kids. And when I say, "What is this?" they say, "Well, that's a baby." You can see that. And this is a baby that is. This was a 22-year-old mother, and this child is about, let me see,
6, 7 weeks.
6 to 7 weeks. Okay, that's right. Okay, so 6 to 7 weeks. You can tell what this is. Most abortions take place about 8 weeks. Okay? And I showed this picture to the couple walking into the abortion clinic. The gal went in, and the guy stayed. He came back outside, and he said, "May I see that picture again?" And I said, "Sure, take a look." And he says, "They told us that this was a blob of tissue." And I said, "Well, that's your child you're talking about." He said, "Yeah." And so he went back into the abortion clinic, got his girlfriend, and they left. He says, "We're going to have our baby. This is a baby. This isn't a blob of tissue. I can see that." I said, "Yes." Okay. This is obvious to anyone with common sense, but this isn't necessarily religion. This is this is just science. Okay? One of the leaders of the abortion movement in this country, he's deceased. His name is Dr. Bernard Nathanson. He was a co-founder of NARAL, the National Abortion Rights Action League. And he did a 180. Instead of promoting abortion, he opposed it. Not for religious reasons. He was a Jewish man, and he was an atheist. Jewish origin, but he was an atheist, didn't believe in God. And he got to looking at fetal development and a sonogram where you can see the child moving within the womb. He was doing that in order to perform abortions better, putting on, having be able to see when you're going in with the instruments to tear the child apart. And it really got to him. He said, well, I can see this is a child. This isn't a blob of tissue. And he stopped doing abortions. He wrote a book called Aborting America, in which he explained the tactics that he used as one of the founders of the abortion movement in this country back in the early 60s to persuade the American public that abortion was okay. He said, you have to, language is important, he said. We have to dehumanize the child. Okay? Instead of calling it an unborn child, call it a fetus, okay? Or a product of conception. You dehumanize the child, you numb the American public, and then you can get the abortion laws passed, and he did. And then he changed his views, okay, for scientific reasons, because he says, I know this is a child. He says, I can't keep killing children. He killed about 10,000 children. I met Dr. Nathanson. He was just horrified at what he had done, and he finally became a Christian. A Catholic priest spoke with him. He became a Catholic and died a Catholic a few years ago. He's written a number of things, and he's one of the great witnesses to the fact that we're killing our kids by promoting this evil of abortion. And like I said, as you can see, this is a child. No one can argue with this. This isn't a blob of tissue. They can hold it up, go the opposite way here, and here are the eyes forming and the little hands forming. There are all kinds of scientific facts that we know now about. The heart begins beating between the 18th and 25th day. The entire skeletal system is laid down in 3 weeks. At 6 weeks, the skeleton's complete. Electrical brain waves have been recorded at 6 weeks. The brain and the body systems are all present by 8 weeks. So we're committing murder by performing abortions, and we have to realize that. Did anyone? I don't think anyone here went on the march, did they? But I spoke with Mr. Staccato this morning before class, and I asked him how things went, and he said it was warm the first couple of days, but then really cold the day of the march. I've been out to the march a number of times, and have you ever seen pictures of the march? I mean, when you look down Constitution Avenue, you can look down and see there are sometimes 300,000, 400,000, 500,000 people down Constitution Avenue. It's a wave that keeps coming and coming and coming. But you never see this on the evening news. Okay? The evening news or the newspapers, when they show the March for Life, okay, they show a group of pro-life people with pro-life signs or something like this, a little group of them, about 6 of them, and then they show pro-abortion people, about another group of 6, and they say, well, there were pro-life and pro-abortion people, this is the debate, to give the impression that it's an equal amount of people that are out there, which is a total distortion of the truth. There was always a little band of pro-abortion people with their signs off to the sides, and the media focuses on that, but they don't focus on the hundreds of thousands of people that are out there. It's exhilarating to go to March for Life, it really is. And if you have a chance to go sometime, do it, because it's really an experience that's very moving emotionally too, when you see all these people out there protesting this ongoing American Holocaust in our country. Okay? I think Mr. Pitpain discussed with you last week the little article that I came across years ago, Beauregard's Manifesto, okay, which was, Thomas, where have you been?
I needed to talk to a teacher.
Okay, do you have a pass?
Fresh out.
Oh, I'll tell you what, go down to the office and we'll, when you can wait there and I'll see you after class, okay? As I was saying, what was I saying? I kind of lost track.
On the thing with Mr. Payne.
Mr. Pitpain, oh yes, with Beauregard's Manifesto. He inserted unborn child into all those arguments instead of people with dark-colored skin. Okay, you see how absurd the pro-abortion arguments are, and that's why that's done. I mean, to make that point. Okay, that these are human beings we're talking about. These aren't blobs of tissue. These aren't people with no feelings or whatever. It's absurd to make arguments like those made in that article, Beauregard's Manifesto. It's just as absurd to make those arguments in regard to unborn children. And it's good to arm ourselves, okay? We're at war, okay? This is part of the culture war too, okay? And I'll say this because I want to connect the dots today, okay, between a lot of things, okay? Connecting the dots so you can see the relationship between, there's a relationship between abortion and homosexual conduct, homosexual sodomy. Okay? You interview most of the people that are practicing homosexual sodomy, they're in favor of abortion. You think why? Well, because this is sex that doesn't have a purpose to it, a finality to it, that can't produce life. In fact, if you look to the origins of both abortion and homosexual sodomy and why it's accepted today, it's contraception. Because contraception is the idea that you can have sexual activity and obstruct the purpose, the real purpose of human sexuality, which is to bring forth a child. Okay? Once that has been accepted, okay, we can have sex for pleasure, and it's not reordered to life, that's okay, well then you have no argument against homosexual sodomy. What's the difference, okay? What's the difference? Yes?
Even if you're married, right? Is that what you were saying earlier?
Well, yes. I mean, that's precisely what I'm saying. See, every Christian denomination opposed contraception until 1930.
Well,
in 1930...
I don't care about other religions.
No, every denomination of Christianity, everyone who called themselves Christians opposed contraception until 1930. The Anglican Church of England was the first church to say, we think contraception should be allowed in certain cases. Then a number of other Protestant denominations accepted this, and they ended up accepting abortion too, because abortion is the flip side of contraception. If people are having sexual activity for pleasure and they don't want a child, when a child comes, there's still an anti-child mentality. And pardon me, Seth?
I said that's just stupid. I think it's just.
Well, listen, if you're going to make a statement, okay, you raise your hand, okay,
I object
before
to
you
your
talk.
statement, sir.
But
How else do you want me to say it?
But don't say something is stupid. What do you mean stupid? I'm not
I
following
just
you.
think like if you're a married couple, that you can have sex for pleasure. That's why it's there.
Yeah.
But
It's a pleasurable act to show your other spouse.
But it has to. But listen, it has to be open to life.
And it is open, but abortion is when you already have a baby in the womb, you kill it. It's not killing a baby if you never even had the baby in the first place because you just had pleasurable sex.
And that's maybe a greater evil, obstructing a child. What? Shh, listen, I'm speaking.
Sorry, go ahead.
People have argued throughout the centuries, Christians, that contraception is a greater evil than abortion in this sense, okay? Because if through that act, which is supposed to be open to God's potentially life-creating love, okay? If God had intended that a child be conceived during this act of marital expression of their love, sexuality, okay, and you prevented that, okay, to have prevented a life from ever coming into existence is a greater evil than killing a life that has come into existence, because at least that child has life, has existence, eternal life. It will go on to live forever, okay? And as I was saying, every Christian denomination condemned contraception, saw it as an evil until 1930. Do the research, okay? The Anglican Church was the first denomination to say contraception should be allowed in limited circumstances between husbands and wives if they have some reason to not have a child. Well, the Catholic Church in 1930, that same year, came out with a statement against this, saying no, it's always been viewed as wrong, contraception. And after many other Protestant churches, denominations, accepted contraception, they ended up accepting abortion as well. Because one thing follows the other. It's the same anti-child mentality. Okay? You're having sex just for pleasure. You don't want a child. That's why people are going down to the abortion mill. Oh, we have a child because we weren't intending to have a child. We were just having pleasure. That's all we wanted. And now we have a child. We don't want this child. Okay? It's the same mentality, an anti-child mentality. Okay? So every authentic argument in regard to against abortion admits this, that contraception is the root cause of abortion, because you are having sex not wanting a child. Okay? You have an anti-child mentality. When a child comes, what's the solution? We don't want this child. Okay? We go down to the abortion mill to have this problem taken care of because we were just having sex for pleasure. And if sex is just for pleasure, well then you have no argument against homosexual sodomy. Okay? Why not have two people of the same sex performing oral sex on each other or anal sex? Okay? If sex doesn't have a purpose. Every Christian for 1930 years agreed with this. Okay? Yes?
I was just gonna say, like, the people that do go and abort their babies, you can't use those as people and put them in the category of believers or Christians. You can't put them in that category.
Well,
and
yeah.
People that say that they are Christian, they go abort the babies, and they're not really Christians. There's no way they claim the name, but they don't do the act. But if you have a Christian couple that they're on a honeymoon or something, or whatever predicament, or they just come home from long day work and they just have fun together, they can have sex and enjoy it. But if they do have a baby, then they have a baby. But if they don't, then it's just, they can have sex and have pleasure and be intimate with each other and enjoy each other's company and still be Christians and not have a baby and then be okay.
Well, but they can't do anything. They have to perform the act in a proper way that's open to life. That's the key. Okay? Otherwise, it's not Christian. And to say it is a fraud. Okay? No, it's not Christian. I said every Christian denomination condemn this. Okay?
What's the wrong with denomination?
Every Christian, everyone who called themselves Christian, condemned this action. Okay? And the Catholic Church has always stood by this continuous teaching from the very beginning. And this goes back, as I pointed out earlier, to the sin of Onan. Okay? Oh, this was known as Onanism back in the days before. Corey, I'm speaking. Don't talk when I'm talking.
I apologize.
If you have a question or comment, raise your hand. Okay. So, no, this Martin Luther, John Calvin, all the so-called founders of Protestantism, they all condemned contraception. Okay. They called it onanism because that's what the sin was called. Okay. To have sex without the possibility of life. Okay. Or to do something to prevent life. Okay. This was common knowledge and accepted thinking up until 1930. Okay. And especially after 1960, when the birth control pill became available, so many people accepted this. Okay? And God hasn't changed his law. Okay? Every sexual act, to call yourself a Christian, has to be open to life. Okay? That's been the teaching of the church from day one. Okay? Yeah, I mean it has, so we continue to hold the line on this in the face of a culture that has rejected it. Okay? In the face of a culture that says, well, sex is just for pleasure, to enjoy two people being together. No, it's much more than that. Okay? God is acting to bring about a new human life, possibly, made in his image and likeness. Okay? This is an awesome thing. That's what makes sex sacred. It makes sex holy. And contraceptive sex de-sanctifies sex. It makes it unholy. It makes it godless. Okay? Yes, sir?
I was wondering, like, how do you think we should go about this war, this culture war? How do we battle it?
How do we battle the culture war? Well, we have to be saints. Okay? You have to stand up against the prevailing arguments, and you have to arm yourself intellectually, okay, to be able to counter the arguments. Why can't two people of the same sex get married? Because there's a lack of complementariness, okay, on the physical level, okay. You don't have two plugs that go together. A plug goes in a socket. That's basic biology, okay? And there is an emotional complementarity too, okay? So we have to arm ourselves with knowledge, okay, to be able to respond to the culture. Because I've had students in public school tell me when the teacher asked a question, how many of you agree with same-sex marriage? And almost all the kids raised their hand. And she and one other student raised their hand and said no. Afterwards, the student said to her, well, why do you hate gays? And she said, I don't hate them. Okay. But see, this is the line that has been promoted. If you oppose homosexual sodomy, you're filled with hate. Okay? That was the song at the Grammys the other night. He kept using this phrase. Oh, you hate all those who hate what these people are doing, who love each other. Well, no, we don't hate them. Okay? We love them. And if you really love someone,
They used to be all about that.
okay, but if you really love someone, you want their good. Okay? You want them to get to heaven, and you'll tell them if they're sinning. Okay? If they're going off the road, off the path to heaven, you want to tell them to warn them. That's one reason. That's one means by which we fight the culture war. Yes.
Well, the next generation that's coming up that's being to like support the gays and abortion and stuff, and many of them, I guess you could say many of them are like brought up in a Christian home or Catholic home. They're taught values and taught morals. And why do you think that they don't stick with it? Why do you think that they eventually just figure out?
Well, I'll say this. You said if someone has an abortion, they're not a Christian. Well, no, not really. And because let me just explain. Okay, most of the girls who are going in for abortions are scared and frightened and abandoned and pressured to do so. They don't want to do this. I know this because I've counseled them before and after abortion. Okay? They're lonely and afraid. It's men who aren't really men who impregnate women and bring them down to the abortion mill saying, let's fix this problem, because they don't want to take responsibility for their actions. Okay? And the women are felt as if they're on their own with no support. They have no other option, and they're sorry for what they've done afterwards. Okay? Extremely sorry. Okay? Yep. And God can forgive any sin. Okay? But with abortion, it's so devastating because you've killed your child. The men can walk away from it easier, but the women, it's much more difficult. I've had women confess the sin of abortion to me who've carried it around with them for 50 years. And just start weeping and say, I've never confessed this, but oh my gosh, this is what I did. I could never bring myself to even say, to really confront this in my own life, okay? And it's very painful. Women suffer through abortion. Okay? The media doesn't say this about the suffering of the women. Mother Teresa of Calcutta used to say, when there's an abortion, two people die. The child and the mother, her heart, her soul. And to be able to forgive yourself is very difficult. I can tell people you're forgiven, but really to be able to believe that sometimes is extremely hard, and it takes sometimes years before women can come to terms with this. we have to have mercy on these women who are doing this. I've seen the girls walking in with their boyfriends, the big brave guy they're holding hands. I can always tell when at these clinics, because sometimes they do other things other than abortions, but when a couple's going in for an abortion, because the guy's always holding the gal's hand. Like, oh, come on, we'll go in, and she's afraid, and they come out, and the guy's gone afterwards. He doesn't stick with her, and the girl is left with the knowledge that she's killed her child, and the emotional scars in her heart, the physical problems which result. It's devastating. Okay, and you all hear about breast cancer being a terrible scourge with so many women. There's a link between abortion and breast cancer. That's established, but you don't hear that. Okay? You know the reason, because when a woman's pregnant, her breast became getting ready to lactate. Okay, because that's what breastfeeding is. That's the natural thing. And when life is cut off, okay, those cells that are growing die, and this can cause breast cancer. It's a major cause of breast cancer. Women have like a 500 better chance getting breast cancer if they have an abortion, but no one speaks about this either. It's a taboo topic, okay? And abortion is almost a sacrament for people. It really is, for the culture of death. We have to be able to oppose it, okay? That's why we spend time in class talking about this, because this right here isn't. You could say, yes, this is religion, but this is also just basic human knowledge and developmental science, okay? Embryology. Okay? Dr. Nathanson, who performed abortions, he says, if anyone studies embryology, you know that human life begins at conception. That's it. There's nothing added. Okay? When the sperm and the egg come together, the chromosomes, you have 46. That's a human being. All you do is grow and develop. Nothing's added. It's a human being from that point on. And that's how Jesus began his life. Okay? That's how all of us began our lives. And to say that someone has a right to kill an unborn child, well, this is just fantasy. It's not anything that's even based in law. I think, Seth, you seem to know the argument, as I recall, of the constitutional argument put forward by the Supreme Court in regard to the so-called right to privacy, okay, which is a creation. There's no right to privacy in the. What do you have there in your hand? What is that in your hand? No. Give me that. Hey, I said, give me that now. Now, give me that. Give me that. Okay? You're smoking in class. I want you to go downstairs. Take that out right now. Take it out. I saw it. Okay? No, that's not what you had in your hand, pal. Okay? Where is it? Okay? We're going to take this all out, and we're going to see what's in the bag. Okay? Right here. Okay? That's it. Okay? Yeah, but you have this in your hand. I saw the smoke coming out of your mouth. Okay? You go down to the office right now. Okay? And go take your stuff. Okay? I'm going to keep this. Okay? Who do you think you are, John Parker? Smoking in my class. Does he do this in other classes?
I don't know.
I don't even smoke.
Electronic hookah, okay? You don't do this in my class.
Damn.
Yeah, that's right.
This is a cold world.
Everyone might put.
Before you come in my class, we'll have a meeting with your parents, okay? Yeah.
Your mom? Oh, your mom. Dude.
Here you go.
Dang, that's cold.
This is a cold world. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it is.
This is a cold world, man. It's crazy how this
How is
universe
the
works.
Kujic and Father Castle? Why didn't he just get a pass?
You wouldn't give him one, huh? Well, no. He said go to the washroom. He didn't come back, so
His fault.
it's his fault.
Yeah, it's his fault.
Okay? So, we're in the midst of a culture where we have to arm ourselves intellectually, okay? We have to know the truth and be able to articulate it, okay? Because most people out there don't, okay? That's the reality, okay? Most people have a herd mentality. They believe what they see on MTV and what they see on the Grammy Awards. Isn't this wonderful that all these people are getting married? Well, no, we can't do that and call ourselves Christians. Okay, we can't. And we're in battle. Okay, that's the reality. Okay, so. Having said that, I have a sheet I'm going to pass out here.
Oh, that says George Washington. We got the same birthday. First thing
I thought he had his phone out.
Why?
Right away. Oh, I know. I saw him in the picture.
That's why I think like you're gonna do it. It's not a little bit. It's like it's strawberry like flavored thing. You're gonna do the real thing because I guess it's like the trend here is everyone wants to go.
He just wanted to get over the straps. Yeah, I guess we can put that. We can tweet that too.
Oh my god. Yeah, he wants to get on
Can I put
that.
that in a quick intro or something? That's hilarious.
That's going on.
Right.
That's going on.
So no, we're into.
But I never said I know one part of the game.
Yeah. Or subject.
Oh, so I thought he was
Please take a look at page 3, okay?
That's a funny one.
There's some
Take a look at page 3, everyone, okay? I think Mr. Pitpayne, when he was here last week, went over pages 1 and 2 I have on here with you, yes.
I wasn't here at all last week, so I don't know.
You have page 1 and 2 there, okay, in case
Like,
anyone wasn't
did we do
there.
anything besides notes or?
That was it.
No.
Magic show.
Oh yeah, we saw a magic show. That was awesome. This is crazy. Blew my mind.
Corey, turn toward me, okay? Face toward me, both legs, okay?
Oh no, it's a habit.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, you can.
He doesn't fit.
I can't fit into my desk.
yeah. He's a little different, he's a little bigger than the chair, okay? Okay, top of page 3, common goods, okay? When we talk about common goods, we're talking about, if you remember, we went over this a couple of weeks ago, goods that can be shared by all, by everyone, okay? And they don't diminish when they're divided. They're shared by many or by all. Example of goods that aren't common, okay? Common goods, money, okay? It diminishes when people share in them, okay? Share in it, or food, okay? Everyone takes food, you have less of it. But examples of common goods, okay? Peace, okay? Peace is a common good. Everyone in a family can share peace, in a state, in a country, can share in peace. It doesn't diminish with more people sharing in it, okay? Other common goods, civic friendship, okay? We should have friendship between different peoples, and freedom is something that everyone can share in, okay? Liberty, okay? And brotherly love. These are just some examples of goods that are common, okay? Common goods. Now, we distinguish common goods from the common good. Okay? The common good is a very important concept in social teaching. Okay? And you'll see this, the common good referred to in many talks and many documents. When people talk about, hey, the common good, we're promoting the common good. The state is supposed to promote the common good. Now, when you hear that, what do you think of, without looking at the sheet here, when you think of the common good, what comes to mind? Okay? The state, we should all promote the common good. What do you think that refers to? Seth?
Protection.
Pardon me?
Protection, like protection.
Well, protection of a country would be part of the common good.
People, I'm talking about the people.
Protection of the people,
Yeah.
okay. Well, against unjust aggressors, okay. That could be a reason for having an army that you have to defend yourself against, having a police force, okay, to promote and defend the common good against people who would violate it, yeah.
Do you think people should like be able to own guns?
Uh,
Like-
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we're not talking about the gun issue
Well, I
right
know, but
now.
that
Well,
like
this is
kind of
common
like goes
good.
with it because it's like talking about like the protection, like the common good, like because not
Well,
everybody's good.
well, this is why our founders, okay, put in the Second Amendment. Seth, I don't want to send you down to the office being the third one, okay? So
Come on, Seth.
knock it off, okay? 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 Yeah. You'll be the third in a row, okay? I don't want to do that. Okay? So, but our founders of this country recognized the necessity of the right to keep and bear arms. The Second Amendment was put in the Constitution not to protect yourself against other people, but in order to have the citizens protect themselves against the government. If the government should infringe upon your rights and turn bad, you would have an armed citizenry to overthrow an unjust government. Okay? That was the reason for the Second Amendment. So yes, that is part of, you could say, the common good, to have a citizenry that is armed to defend themselves against a government that may infringe upon them. A government that we know now is listening at our cell phone conversations, and who knows what else is
Buying all the
buying on the ammunition. Seth, what?
Said, and they're buying loads and loads of the ammunition. I mean, like, we're buying loads, like, because I lived in the South a long time, and we go to the gun shops just for fun sometimes. And like the walls would be bare. The walls would be bare of guns, and where they would have like the ammo and stuff like in like the case where like you see through the glass and stuff. It's just gone. They said that they're behind shipments on 22 rounds and stuff. There's 22 rounds like this big.
Well, okay,
Not going to be and all that kind of stuff. Like
the right to keep and bear arms was put in our Constitution by the founders as a means to maintain the common good, okay, and to prevent infringement of the government upon us, okay, upon the citizenry, okay. So, but the common good, when we think of the common good, okay, to promote the common good, I have that in the bold there, the big capitalized letters, the common good, the sum total of social conditions which allows people as groups, okay, or as individuals to reach their fulfillment more fully and easily, okay? So we want everyone to reach their fulfillment, and if you look at it from a Christian perspective, our fulfillment is to get to heaven. So our fulfillment here in this life and in eternal life, okay? The common good, and this is a quote from the Catholic, the Compendium of Social Doctrine of the Church, the common good stems from the dignity, the unity, and equality of all people, and every aspect of social life that must be related to it, okay? So when we're talking about the dignity of all people, and you want everyone to have a basic good quality of life, okay, not to be in a state of destitution, that's promoting the common good, the good of all in a country, say. Okay? Now, why do all people have inherent dignity? Well, because we're made in the image and likeness of God, okay? With an intellect to know Him, a free will to love, serve Him in this life, to be happy with Him forever and ever. Okay? That's the Christian view of why we have dignity, okay, as persons, okay? Starting, okay, in the womb, okay? Even our declaration says this. We are endowed by our Creator with inalienable rights, okay? So from conception, we're endowed with these rights, okay? Now the common good refers to the benefit or welfare of the whole community. It's the proper object of just laws. A law to be just has to be promoting the common good. It can't be just favoring one person over another or one group over another, and it can't be opposed to a group of people. Okay, the law of the land right now is that you can kill an unborn child up through the full 9 months of gestation in the womb. Okay? Well, that's an unjust law. A just law can't be fundamentally opposed to human dignity. Okay? And besides being the proper object of a just law, it's distinguished from individual goods, which look only to the good of a single person. Okay? My goods, our individual goods we have in our homes, we may have property collected, we may have savings in the bank. That's our own individual goods. That's not the common good. The common good is the good of everyone, okay? Recognizing that we're made in God's image and likeness. And the common good does not equal the sum of particular goods of each person. So when we're talking about the common good, it's like when we put our goods together, that's not the common good. Okay? That's just individual goods. It belongs to everyone. Okay? That's why it's common. Okay? Only together is it possible to attain it, to increase it, to safeguard it. So we all have to work together to promote the common good of everyone in society. It's indivisible. Okay? Everyone can share in it, like common goods. Okay? And the social and community aspect of the moral good is included. Okay? I think we're about finished, so